everyone. I'm going to try to make this a fairly quick video. If you have seen any or read any of my other blogs from a while back before I was on medication, you'll see that I would have what I referred to as crazy sods. After the fact, of course, I realized it was manic episodes, but while I was in it, it was a crazy sode. Unfortunately, mental illness is genetic, and it runs in our genes. My mom had mental health issues, her mom had mental health issues, many of my aunts and uncles have mental health issues. It's in the family, and it's not something that I can change. And it's also something that I have passed on to my older son. And he is 10 years old. He's so beautiful and funny and smart, but he's also been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and ADHD. One of them alone is bad enough, all three is just horrible. He recently was, let's see, it's been about a month. He's been on his medicine. He did not realize that it was doctor prescribed and that the doctor is telling him, hey, this is something that might help. So he would throw them in the trash or drop them and not tell me. And then I couldn't figure out why we were still having issues, because when he takes them, they really do help. And I mean, medicine doesn't fix everything. Like, you're still gonna have a bad day, you're still gonna have issues sometimes, but overall, it makes a big difference. And today for him was just a really rough day. This morning he had a therapy session. The therapist actually meets him at school and takes him during one of his class periods or whatever, and they talk for half hour, 45 minutes or so. And about a week ago, he had a really bad day, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't deal with it. So my husband went up and talked to him, and that's when I found out that he thought mom was just medicating him, and it wasn't something from the doctor. But once he realized it was from the doctor, it helped with his mentality toward it. But after he got in trouble for the way he was talking to me and the way he was behaving and just being real nasty, my husband took away all but like 10 of his Hot Wheels cars. And that's basically his prized possessions, you know? And he got angry and took his scissors out of his backpack and tried to cut his arm, which I didn't know. I didn't know at all until his therapist called me and told me today. And so they took away his scissors from school. I have to keep everything sharp on lockdown here. And so that was not weighing on my mind this morning. And so I'm like heavy-hearted, and I had to go grocery shopping. And my mom passed away a couple months ago, and she was my mental health advocate, always. And she was very passionate about that for my siblings and for my children, that they would not be afraid to seek help, you know, which is something she instilled in me, even though she was not good at taking her own advice. But like, I went through the store and I was like having to choke back tears like every other aisle, because I'm like, oh, I just wish I could talk to my mom. So he stayed after school today for tutoring. and he just doesn't care. He doesn't care for his teacher. He thinks she's too harsh, and I try to tell him that she's doing her job. You know, if you're supposed to be typing on the computer and she doesn't see you typing, you're gonna get in trouble because you're supposed to be doing this. But so when I picked him up, he was just angry, so angry. And so we got home, and I sent my younger son to his room to play so I could talk with him, talk with my older one. And sorry, now my eye is burning. And it was about, like, I wanted to see his arm, and he didn't break any skin, but you can see like the rub mark from the scissors. And so I'm like trying to talk to him about it, and he's just angry. And he has his snack, and we're trying to talk, or I'm trying to talk with him, but he's just shut down. He doesn't want to talk to me. He wants nothing to do with me. And then I'm like, okay, well, you have a lot of schoolwork to do, because he's been telling me he doesn't have anything, but he does. So he has a lot of stuff to catch up on. And he went irate. He had a crazy sode. And he slammed his fists on the table and started screaming and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Go run the steps. Like, I'm trying to get all that pent up energy out. And he starts yelling at me. And I swat his arm for yelling at me. And he goes like that, try to get in my face. And I'm like, you really want to go? Like, that's really what you choose to do? Which, you know, wasn't the best idea on my part, but so he's trying to fight me. Now, my son is not a very strong person, muscular wise, but he comes like up to here on me. So he's very tall. So instead, I wrap him in a bear hug, and he's just bawling and screaming, like screaming. And we end up falling to the floor. He's trying to get away from me. He's screaming, "Let me go!" And finally, I pull him back. I wrap my legs around his bottom half, and I wrap my arms around his top half. And my little one comes out, and he starts screaming because he thinks I'm hurting his brother. I was like, baby, I'm not hurting him. I'm keeping him from hurting himself. And I need you to go back in your room. So he goes in his room, and my son and I sit and we cry in the middle of the kitchen floor. And I just tell him how much I love him, and that I'm not letting him go through this alone. It's so not fair. It's so not fair for my baby to go through this. And it's so hard. And he was just so angry. And I just kept him wrapped up. He's my miracle. I felt God's healing hand before I got pregnant with him. I think I have that on another video. But I just kept him wrapped up, and then I finally started just praying out loud over him. And once he calmed down enough, we sat down and we just started with his homework. The first thing, one thing at a time. After about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. He looks at me, he goes, Mommy, I'm sorry. I don't know why I can't help it. I'm sorry. So that, of course, gets us both crying all over again. So we're sitting there doing me just being the support for him to do his homework. And we knock out the first thing. He goes, Mom, can you do it was like a multiple choice or, this or that type thing. He's like, I'm making a mess of the paper. Can you circle them for me? I was like, sure. So he told me each of the answers and I put the circles. But I'm like, I understand where he's coming from because I've been there. But it's just so heartbreaking as a mom. Medicines have helped immensely for him, at least from my view, where I am. But they're not perfect. You're still gonna have bad days. Genetics suck. One day at a time. But I'm thankful that he wants help and he wants to be better. Alright, I gotta go. Bye.